Um, and so as we go into step 11, which is the step that mentions meditation, I thought that over these coming weeks, while we're going through the step, that I would offer some different styles of meditation, sort of instead of just doing my usual guided meditation, sort of generic vipassana or mindfulness meditation. I thought I would sort of offer, a bunch of different tastes of different styles of meditation. And I've made a list of them, so I can refer to. But I thought I'd start tonight by doing this sweeping, what's called sweeping, or I Kama calls it part by part. So this is a practice that is attributed to a Burmese lay person named Uba Khin. And he was S.N. Goenka's teacher, Uba Khin. And he was also Ruth Dennison's teacher, if you know these folks. Most of you, I think, know who Goenka is for sure. And so this is the practice that Goenka teaches, I believe. I have not sat a Goenka retreat, so I'm speaking purely from secondhand knowledge, which I'm pretty secure of. But I'm not going to, in any case, I'm going to present it in my own way, of course. But the feature of this meditation is that it's a very systematic movement through the body. So taking your attention through the body, as Ayakema says, part by part, and then the other term, as I say, sweeping. So you can do it very slowly, and I've sat with teachers who did a 45-minute guided meditation just to get you through your body. But you can also, if you're doing it regularly, you can also start to move, like sweep, like just take a couple minutes to move through your body and then go back and kind of keep going through and through. It's also one of the main meditations in the mindfulness-based stress reduction. I typically just do a kind of like very abbreviated sweep at the beginning of my guided meditations. I might talk a little bit more about the practice afterward, after we do it. But let's sit, and we'll do a 20-minute version of the sweeping practice. So as always, settling back and establishing a solid meditation posture, letting the body stabilize. And you can close your eyes or just lower your gaze if you prefer to keep your eyes partially open. And we start by trying to feel any sensations on the top of the head, actually, particularly at the crown of the head. This is the place that's a soft spot in a newly born baby spot, kind of the place that your hair begins to grow, sort of the back of the top of the head. And so see if you can feel anything there. And it can take a minute for the sensations to emerge. And even if you're not feeling anything, just to let your attention be in that area. Just sort of an interesting experience, just to sort of let the mind be in that place. So there are different ways we can move through the body. I'll just take you one route. You can sort of alter it for your own preferences and other sittings. First, letting your attention move forward across the top of your head till you get to your hairline, or what might have once been a hairline. So any sensations? Now letting the attention move down the left side of the head, so the left temple, the left ear, feeling any sensations on the left side of the head. You might notice pulsing, tingling, warmth or coolness, lightness, heaviness, or sensations that don't really have a name, energetic sensations. And moving the attention down the right side of the head, the right temple, the right ear. You can just sort of move your attention across these areas. Taking the attention now down the back of the head, down to the neck. Any sensations felt? Now we'll start to explore the sensations in the face, starting with the left cheek. You might feel the surface of the skin, or you might feel bones, You might feel the touch of air or the internal movement of blood, the nervous system, energy and communication. From the left cheek, sweeping the attention across the forehead, just feeling any sensations in the forehead. And over to the right cheek and jaw. Noticing any resistance, or if there's kind of the mind doesn't want to settle on those places. Sometimes it's as though the mind gets stubborn and wants to go somewhere else. Looking for more intense or dramatic sensations. So we have to make an effort to lean in and try to sense the subtler sensations at different points in the body, the cheeks and the forehead. And now the left eye, feeling the eye, this soft, moist object with the eyelid over it. Moving over to the bridge of the nose, and then the right eye. Usually we don't pay attention to sensations in places like the eye unless there's something uncomfortable. So to just tune into the more or less neutral experience of the eye. And exploring the sensations of the nose, beginning with the outside of the nose, the flesh, the bone, the cartilage. And then going inside the nose, the left nostril, the right nostril. You can track sensations up as you're breathing in into the sinuses, perhaps down the throat. And feeling the sensations in the upper lip, and then into the mouth. Feeling the tongue, the inside of the cheeks, the roof of the mouth. And feeling the sensations of the chin, and down to the neck. If you can kind of sweep around the neck. You could go from left to right or right to left, clockwise, counterclockwise. Now to the left shoulder. Feel the shoulder and the collarbone. Goes to the right shoulder, collarbone. And letting the attention move down the left arm, the upper arm, the elbow, the forearm, flesh, bone. Again, noticing the range of sensations, pulsing, hardness, softness, tingling, dullness, noticing where there are no sensations. Feeling the armpit. And into the left hand, the back of the hand, palm of the hand. Move your attention to each of your 5 fingers. And to the right arm, the upper arm, the elbow, the forearm. The armpit. And the wrist and hand, back of the hand, palm of the hand. Each of the 5 fingers. And now into the torso, the trunk of the body, the center where many of the organs are held. Moving the attention from the chest, feeling the solar plexus, the ribs, the belly. Here we feel the heart, perhaps pulsing directly. The body moving with the breath as the lungs expand and contract. Noticing what you feel on the outside and on the inside. And then the back, sweeping the attention from the upper back down to the lower back, feeling the left side and right side, the spine, feeling the movement expanding, contracting with the breath, the ribs coming around here as well. So feeling the entire torso. And we move down into the hips, the buttocks, the genitals, the anus, just feeling all the sensations through this part of the body, left side, right side. And letting the attention move down the left leg from the thigh and the knee and the lower leg, flesh, muscle, bone, and to the right leg, the thigh, knee, the lower leg. Softness, hardness, warmth or coolness, pulsing or dullness, tingling, the whole range of sensations. Attention now to the left ankle, to the left foot, the upper foot, the sole of the foot, and each toe. If you can sense each separate toe. The feet tend to be the coolest part of the body, furthest from the heart. Noticing temperature there. And then to the right ankle, right foot, upper foot, the sole of the foot, and each toe individually that you can feel. Now, opening your attention to just feel the whole body sitting. Sometimes this practice can make the body feel more alive. We sense it more clearly. And just letting the attention rest with the breath for a few moments. All right. So I'll say a few things about this practice, and I wouldn't mind hearing some feedback too. Um, I've actually, when when I'm listening to this practice as a guided meditation, I have a really hard time with it. If I'm more successful with it if I'm guiding myself. And I again, I'm just sharing my experience. Others may feel completely differently, but I find my mind tends to kind of drift when someone's trying to take me through it, and it's partly because I think it helps to go at your own pace and sort of go where how you feel it for yourself. Um, I've also found it can put me to sleep if somebody's got, geez, I just spit out the rest of my cough drop. Sorry about that. We need to edit that out, Angela. No, just take the cough drop out. Yeah. Um, so I don't know. And yet, as I say, if I leave myself, it can be a really good concentration practice. And it like that, like while I was leading it for you guys, I got really concentrated, and my body, it's kind of like as I'm doing it, it feels like it's starting to glow a little bit. I don't know if anybody gets that experience. So that's all sort of my personal stuff with it. What I'll say in terms of the way it's, sort of viewed in the, at least I guess I'd say traditionally when it's taught, it's that it's particularly useful in cultivating awareness of impermanence, because as we pay attention to the individual parts of the body, we see that there's constant, on this vibratory level, this constant change. It's not stable. And I don't even think the word impermanence is that good a word, anicca. And when it comes to this kind of meditation, um, I just think of it as like the vibratory nature of the world, because that's kind of, the world is constantly vibrating, right? Nothing is stable, the instability. And so however you understand it, this is one of the things that's supposed to be valuable on an insight level with this practice. And it's clearly meant to be, and has the potential to be, a tremendous concentration practice. And I think it's a good concentration practice because you're moving. You're not just staying with one thing. Like, it's hard to, like, just that one thing of the breath. It's like, but because you're moving and it's very intentional, you have to kind of stay on edge and stay with it. It takes a lot of effort, like right effort, to do this practice. And which is probably one of the reasons I avoid it somewhat, because it's hard. I think it's a hard practice, like energetically and not physically energetically, but sort of mentally energetically. It takes a lot of mental energy to, like, okay, really stay with it, and commitment. But it does have a big payoff, I think. I think it's a tremendous practice. And I think that one of the reasons MBSR adopted it is because of the, it's so deeply somatic, and because their starting point of MBSR was working with chronic pain. Like, we know that it's kind of gone beyond that, but John Kabat-Zinn was originally working, as probably most of you know, in the chronic pain clinic at the University of Massachusetts. And when you're really mindful of your body, then you're able to be with each sensation. And of course, part of that is the disidentifying with the sensation. It's just, oh, I'm just feeling sensations. I'm not, it's like, oh, here, and you might notice, oh, this part of my body, there's no pain, or this part of their body, there's something pleasant. And then you get to a place, maybe you have chronic pain. It's like, oh, this part's painful, but it's kind of helping you to see, oh, that's not the whole of my experience, which is a really important part of working with chronic pain. Like, to see, like, okay, it's unpleasant, but it's not, it's what my head does with it, like focusing more on it as, like, that's what's happening, that's my life, rather than, oh, there's like this unpleasant sensation and there's these other things. Um, So those are just a few thoughts, but yeah, before I sort of start to talk about step 11, I'd be interested to hear if there are any comments about this. And you feel free to, raise your hand or unmute yourself. Or Rachel, hi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So yeah, this practice, I had the good fortune to teach yoga at a Tibetan temple when I was a caregiver for my dad. And we often use this practice during Shavasana. And people would say it was like the most intense experience of Shavasana they've had. It was couched under the title of Yoga Nidra. And the end of it focused on following your, after you went through the whole body scan, you followed your breath from a navel point to the crown of your head, navel point to the crown of your head, then heart, crown of the head, heart, crown of the head. And people absolutely loved it. And I'm with you, going, not only does it require the concentration when you're the participant, but when you're the leader, it really requires that you stay on it. You're like, wow, what body part did I mention? So it's an excellent practice that way. And everybody that I've ever talked to really enjoys the experience of it. So thanks. What a treat.
Well, I'm busted because that is definitely one of the reasons I don't like to teach it, because it's a lot of work to teach. And I like to kick back and just like meditate when I'm teaching. But yeah, I mean, I think it's often used in Shavasana, and it's and so we can see it's a very natural fit with the yoga practice. And in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, it said that we can practice mindfulness in the 4 postures of standing, sitting, walking, or lying down. So Shavasana is one of the postures that the Buddha taught meditation in. And obviously we see the connection then between traditional yoga or hatha yoga and Buddhist meditation. So, Anne, I saw you nice nodding while I was talking, which always encourages me.
Hi, yeah. Gosh, I haven't been to class for 3 weeks. It's great to be back here. It's very grounding.
I know. We were off like, having a vacation or something.
I was.
I can't understand people who have vacations. That's not right.
You should try it sometime, Kevin.
My whole life is a vacation, let's face it.
Yeah. I don't know. That practice for me, I was nodding a lot because as someone who has a deep relationship with chronic pain, this practice actually was my main practice for 2 years, about 2 years for solidly, where every day I would go for 45 minutes or an hour and do this practice. And it really helped me see that I'm much more than my pain. I'm not my pain. The different energies and the vibrations and connected to my heart, like this beating, aliveness of my heart was really moving. And tonight, wow, it was just whoosh, just so grounding for me. It was really, thanks. And I actually heard it with starting with side, left side. It's so deeply concentrated. Yeah, it's.
You cut out for a little bit there. Right after you said
just
started.
With the right side and the left side of the head. I've never really. I mean, I have in terms of like where the pain moves and stuff in my head, but not the way you let it. And with the right side, left side, kind of.
Separated
so much. I use like the right leg, left leg, right. But in a more intimate way. It's really like that. I'm glad it's recorded. That's good.
you know, Iakema, and I think Ruth Dennison, similarly, and you probably have heard this, they say, focus on an area about the size of a dollar coin, or maybe a quarter or something, which is, it's too small an area for me. I maybe I could do that on a retreat, it's hard for me to like go that close. And of course I wouldn't be able to get through the body in 20 minutes, but yeah, I mean, it's very particular. I do like it. I do think it's so interesting, to like, oh, I'm just going to go over here, because right away my mind is like, yeah, but what's going on over there? Like it's just so interesting to see how my mind is like, yeah, but there's something happening down on my foot. I think I really ought to go,
Yeah.
and it's just like, it's just the class, just again, showing you how undisciplined our minds are, and how they're naughty. Our minds are naughty. They want to.
Yeah. For some reason, it's at least tonight anyway, I was following the guidance, and my mind actually was staying with each thing. Usually,
good.
yeah. So yes. Well, it's good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. Yeah. I kept getting, when we sent emails out to the teaching team for the October retreat, I kept getting back like, I'm on vacation. So get rid of that.
I hope it's still, I hope it's gone now. I don't.
Yeah, you better anyway. Fix it. All right. Okay, I guess I'll keep taking questions. It's fun. I love taking questions. Dan, hi.
Hey, Kevin. First of all, thanks so much for that. I feel great. It was exactly what I needed. A couple things. I could actually say a lot of things, but
couldn't we all?
one curious thing was I've recently kind of got some pretty intense tinnitus, and so when we were talking about just the temples and the ears, it was really curious to me how at first it became really more pronounced and like louder, but the longer I stayed with it, it got quieter, and almost got to a point where like it didn't feel real anymore. I don't know how to explain it, but like yeah, I mean, just I guess so soft that it was yeah. But the other thing,
let me just say one thing about that, which is, you may know that Ajahn Sumedho and Ajahn Amaro practice their meditation object is the sound in their ears. So they just listen instead of the breath. They focus on the sound, what they call the nada sound.
Wow.
Or the sound of silence. Ajahn Sumedho has a book with that title. So
that
FYI.
Sounds kind of scary and intense.
I know. Once you get absorbed into it, it's okay, but it is a little scary. I know, especially if you have that condition and you're afraid you're going to be sort of feeding it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like the epitome of me feeling impermanence is.
Feeling, there you go.
But the other thing that I noticed was some parts of my body were harder to feel than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I know that like if it was like connected, if you said to go from your shoulder down to your elbow, I could do that. But if I had to jump from like one leg to the other, I had to actually visualize like going back up the leg, across the hips and back down.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's why maybe the idea of sweeping is a good one rather than jumping from those places. Maybe that would be another way of doing it, is just kind of like sweep across and then go down. But yes, of course, different parts of your body have different sensations. That's part of the teaching here. It's that your body isn't one thing, you know, and that this goes to the question of self, right? And the Buddha talks about, you know, the chariot and taking apart the chariot, and what is the chariot, the axle or the wheels or the reins, or, you know, and the same as with your body. You know, if you have your arm amputated, is that arm still your body? You know, is it still you? Is, you know, if you say my arm, if it's removed, is it still your arm? And well, it's kind of a weird example, but extreme. But yeah, I mean, on a more practical level, this is one of the things we discover. Like, you move your attention through the body, and you see that certain parts of the body, like for me, it's very hard to feel much in my back. There's very little, and even the crown of the head and all that can be very tricky. So, as I said, what you're supposed to do, which is also very interesting in terms of using intention with awareness, is to just move the attention to a place where you don't feel anything. Like, that's weird, but if you practice it, if you try it, you realize you can do it. Like, you can pay attention. Like, I can pay attention to my back, even though I'm not really feeling a lot there. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can also, if you want, I don't know if this is, you know, sanctioned, but you can kind of like, if you're not feeling something in one part of your body, you can, like, you know, kind of just move your body just a little bit, kind of go, and see what you feel then, just to kind of like wake up that part of the body.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it was just some places needed more time. Like,
right.
Took me a while to get there.
Yeah, and that's so interesting too, right? That you focus and there's like nothing there, and then gradually something emerges. It's like, wow, that's, yeah. It's a beautiful practice.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Uba Khin for that. He was actually like a government minister, Uba Khin. I'll put his name in because you can look him up. I think there's some stuff. Uba, I think this is how his name was spelled. U seems to be like some kind of a honorific in Burmese, because there's Upandita and Utejaniya. Pretty sure that's how his name was spelled. Yeah. But the fact that he wasn't a monk is very unusual, right? A layman. And Ruth Dennison went to Burma, I think, in the early 60s, and she's encountered him and became his student. Yeah. So some more hands up. Let me get to some other folks. Flippy B, hi.
Hey, Kevin. Thank you for the meditation. I remember doing this through Insight Timer with the Yoga Nidra for sleep. And back when I couldn't sleep a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I would go through a Yoga Nidra for sleep and do a body scan, and then go through more feeling the whole body at once, and other things, and it would put me to sleep. So I thought that was just interesting when you talked about it being focusing on different things, like a real concentration exercise, but somehow it was used to be a relaxation exercise.
Right.
And the other thing that I did was I still suffer, but I've learned how to guide myself through a body scan, and I even did it at Red Rocks recently, and with 10,000 people with me, and they weren't meditating, they were at set break, and they were all moving around, and I was getting like flashbacks. And I learned this thing called Deep Healing by David G on Insight Timer, and it starts with just relaxing every area of the body all the way down, and then allowing every area of the body to be just as it is, to be perfect and whole. And I've taken that mobile to where I could guide myself in the middle of a huge crowd of concert goers and get out of anxiety and flashbacks. And this thing has really changed my life mentally. It's reduced anxiety So I'm real grateful for it.
That's really great. Thank you for bringing that all up. First of all, I forgot like the term body scan. I'm kind of using the old terminology for it, sweeping and part by part. And but of course, that's what we call it these days, body scan. And yeah, you're pointing to a couple of things that I think are worth highlighting. One is that, yes, this is commonly used as a, well, we were already talking about Shavasana, as a relaxation technique in order to fall asleep. And so there's this potential risk that, you get habituated to whenever I do a body scan, I fall asleep. And so I don't know what to say about that, except it's good to be able to do it wide awake. And so just to say that there's a correlation between, you mentioned concentration, and concentration has a calming effect. So if there isn't enough energy as you get concentrated, there's a tendency to fall asleep, which is one of the things that happens when you're on a meditation retreat, right? You're meditating a lot, you're starting to get really concentrated. You don't have enough energy, you just start falling asleep at every sitting. So that's great if you want to fall asleep and you don't have a lot of energy, but you're just kind of anxious. You calm yourself down and you get concentrated on the body, which is what's happening by doing the body scan. And then that concentration itself is what kind of puts you to sleep. But as I say, we need to, because I know that, it's interesting, Insight Timer and so much of the meditation, so many of the meditation apps are really about falling asleep, which is very telling, I guess, in terms of our culture and the need for rest and the anxiety and the overwork and stress. And when I first put a guided meditation on Insight Timer, I looked at some of the comments, as one will do, to see like, what are people saying about my beautiful guided meditation? And along the way, there was one who said, this was really good. I really like this meditation. You should just cut out the bell because it woke me up. I was like, I was trying to wake you up. That was the idea. So it just really points to like, we need to sort of be careful. I don't know how careful we have to be, but just to be aware that there is this sort of, I don't know if I would call it a risk, but like, be very intentional. Like, am I trying to fall asleep or am I trying to wake up? And sometimes, we need to fall asleep. And so, just to recognize that there's this need for energy to go with it, if we're going to do it and to wake up. And yeah, I also appreciate like your reference to just sort of the calling upon this in the midst of things, because it is a really helpful practice just in daily life. Like when you're standing in line or waiting for something, or you're anxious, or you're waiting for the people in front of you to get off the green so you can hit your drive, whatever problems you might have in your life that require waiting. That thing of just like, oh, you can do it like this, like sweep. I think of it more as sweeping, just like, just take your attention right through the body. You can do it very quickly, right? It doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It can be one breath. It can be 3 breaths. And often that's something where I'll do it a couple times. I'll say just one more little piece on this. Reverend Hung Shur, who is essentially the abbot of the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, and he teaches in a different Buddhist tradition. He teaches in the Chan and anyway, sorry, it's a multiple tradition. The one that chants, boy, not just old, but it's been a long time since I've been to the monastery. Anyway,
Pure Land.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. It was there. So Pure Land and Chan, which are both, Chinese kind of Mahayana traditions that have blended. In any case, when he teaches this kind of practice, what he does, he kind of talks about it as an energetic practice, where when you get to your toes, you imagine the energy going out of your body into the earth, which I do sometimes when I'm trying to help people. And I like that because that makes it like grounding, right? Literally, like, okay. And sort of think if there is anxiety or stress, that you're sort of trying to very intentionally release and, down through the body, that then you kind of see it as something that's like leaving your body. It's not just like, okay, it's down in my toes now, I'm like stuck. I got all this energy in my toes. No, it's going to go down into the earth. So just that's another thing that you can sort of add to it. And when you're standing, that can be a very good tool too, just standing somewhere and then imagining the energy going into the earth. So if we had Greg Pergament here, he would tell us how that's a Qigong practice, so which I imagine it is. So this is great. Hi, everybody. I'm not going to stop right now. It's 8:00. So if anybody, it sort of was like, oh, I'll come for the hour class. I'm, feel free to exit, but I'm going to just let the questions come for a little while. As I say, I'm going to be up till midnight, 12:20 at the Oakland airport. So, Steve, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Kevin. I really struggle with these body scan meditations. I'm also a chronic pain patient. I had sciatica for a lot of years, really, really bad. And of course, my tinnitus is off the charts. My ears ring so bad 24/7 from 20 years of playing loud rock and roll and beating the cymbals. So yeah, it's just insane. And I think it was like I had an aversion to meditation because of that. My ears ring so bad, I didn't want to start thinking about that. But having said that, I discovered on a retreat I was on by myself last year, I went up to Sea Ranch and rented a nice home up in the mountains. I was up there for a week by myself. And I discovered that if I lied down, and I was listening to one of Jack's body scan meditations, and it was a 25-minute body scan, that I didn't want to fall asleep, so I could actually get to a point where I was conscious, yet I was so relaxed. I didn't even think about my ears ringing and that my back was hurting or that my knee replacement surgery was bugging me. And it was really a wonderful place to be. So, but if I sit, if I listen to a guided meditation, no matter where I'm at or what time of the day, my mind's going to do what it's going to do. My mind's always going a million miles an hour, but it's getting better. But I find if I lie down, it really aids in the body scan meditation. So I just wanted to share that. If anybody has had that experience, or it's really beneficial for me.
For sure. And I've been saying often when I'm teaching meditation on Zoom that if people need to lie down, that's fine. The risk with lying down, of course, is that you do fall asleep. So it's easier to do that. And we particularly kind of discourage it on meditation retreats where you're a bunch of people in a room and then somebody starts snoring and it really spoils the mood altogether. But at times it's the perfect thing. Yeah. And certainly with chronic pain, it can be very, very helpful. My back actually hurts more when I lie down. The first thing I have to do when I get up in the morning is sit down in a chair, and then it gets better, which like, what? Because most people are like, I can't sit in a chair too long. I'm like, I can't lie on a bed too long. So.
Well, you had mentioned too that there are certain parts of the body I just can't connect, like the top of my head. I struggle with that, but there's certain parts of my body, even in sitting guided meditation, I can feel that. So interesting.
So since I'm off the clock, I'll share a music memory here too. Which, when I was 20, I was playing bass in a more or less a heavy metal band. I had what an SVT amp is. It's an Ampeg amplifier. For those who are uninitiated, it's an Ampeg amplifier.
The best bass amplifier ever made. My bass player had 4 of them behind me.
And they're basically about as tall as me. They're about 6 feet tall. And I was playing with a drummer whose name was Fang. So and Fang, played with the thick ends of the sticks. And it was during that time that my eardrums started to vibrate in very uncomfortable ways. And I had to quit that band, but my ears have never really recovered from that. So it's That's, I'm lucky I don't have bad tinnitus. Thanks, Steve. Debbie, hi.
Hmm. Hi there. Thank you. Oh, I've so appreciated all the shares this evening and
Yeah.
can relate to so much, you know. Yeah, I also have tinnitus, and I remember one day, it was probably in my 40s, when I was going to bed and the noise in my ears didn't stop that night, and it never stopped again. And I thought, oh my God, I will never experience silence again. And it was rather frightening because it used to be a safe space for me, you know. I could go, I don't know. So, but there's so many ways to practice with the body scan, and then of course just mindfulness is all about being with what is and how am I with it and noticing my relationship. So I have related to so many of the stories that people have shared and the different ways that we can experience it. And it's always different. You know, if I did an 8-week MBSR training course a few months ago, several months ago.
Yeah.
And so to add this 45-minute body scan every day to my already pretty intense mindfulness practices, I thought, how am I going to do this? But I did. And it was pretty incredible. I played around with doing it at night, going to sleep, doing it in the morning when I wake up, in the middle of the day, just to see how things might be different or shift or whatever. But I have to say, 5 days, 6 days into it, it was in the first week of doing the 45 minutes. When I was done this one time, this incredible gratitude came over me. It was like my body was saying, are you kidding? You are paying this much attention to me? You're like, my body was, it was a healing. It was a healing I wasn't expecting. It was like how it was I felt my body appreciating that I was with it, you know, and I cared enough to spend time to go through the playground of my body sometimes, or you know, the turbulence of it or whatever. And it was such a beautiful thing. And I realized this is a benefit of the body scan that I didn't expect and wouldn't have received if I hadn't been focusing on it every single day. And so I just wanted to share that because it was it has stayed with me, and I appreciate it very much.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love hearing that. And, you know, I mean, it just really points to, you know, we practice and, you know, we take on these challenges. When we get really inspired by the practice, we take on challenges, not for any particular reason. Right? We don't want no particular goal. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do this in order to have this like experience that Debbie had. You know, it's not like that. It's we practice just to practice, and because we get interested. You know, I mean, it's very much like sort of the Joseph Goldstein thing of like, well, this is interesting. I think I'll check this out. Like, what happens if I do this? And then and then things are revealed, and it's like, wow, it's just such a gift, you know, it really is, these practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like as human beings, we need to be witnessed. And, you know, this last year, we haven't had a lot of that because of the social distancing and things. We haven't had so much. So I feel like we can even witness ourselves. And I mean, that's awareness practice, right? So anyway, thank you. Thank you for this evening. It was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. I am thinking, I mean, I haven't even started to talk about step 11. Step 11 says we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. But maybe we can start thinking about this step in relation to what we did tonight as, you know, achieving conscious contact with our bodies, and the value in that, and really the importance of that as people in recovery, that when we are in our addiction, we've really lost touch with our bodies in a healthy way. You know, we might be feeling our bodies, but it more in like the jolts and intoxications that we give it, or, you know, maybe moments of bliss too, you know. I mean, when you first do that line of Coke, it feels really great, I guess. But seeing that our healing, our deep healing in recovery really does depend on establishing this connection with our body. Because again, many of us have this conflicted relationship with our body, both around whether it's around food or exercise or the way we look, you know, who doesn't have that problem, around sex, you know, and how, and all of these things kind of, those conflicts with our body put us, you know, at a separation from ourselves and disconnect us from ourselves. And then, of course, the thing that I talk about so much is the felt experience, the emotional experience felt through the body, which is really at the heart of all of this challenge. And so working with a practice like this, that's very explicitly meant to, you know, address the whole body, you know, feel every part of your body. Like, you know, people sometimes say that they'll do this practice and then there's parts of their body they don't want to pay attention to because they're, you know, they don't like that part of their body, or they're self-conscious about their body. So they don't want to feel their stomach or, you know, whatever part of their body, you know, your butt. And so this is like really an important healing on all these levels, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And so it's not, so what, you know, I just became aware, oh, we're just talking about meditation tonight. I want people to realize that this is not separate from recovery. This is not separate from the 11th step. This is not separate from healing from addiction. This is right at the heart of it. So I think it'll really be fun over these coming weeks to do some different practices and talk about them. But also, of course, we'll go through one breath at a time and those ideas about meditation that are in there and about the 11th step. So very nice to see everyone. I will be back on Tuesday morning. I'm assuming that I'll be able to, you know, keep all the noise in the house down. The boyfriend is coming with the daughter, so you know that's how it's. Yeah, I know it's going to be interesting. I've met the boyfriend. He's okay. You know, we need to work on his golf game a little bit, but other than that, we'll figure it out. So thank you, everybody. So nice. I kind of, it's funny when I teach somewhere else, like I was in LA the last week I was teaching there. It feels different, even though I'm still on Zoom. It just doesn't feel the same. I don't feel that comfortable there when I'm somewhere else. So it's really nice to be back in my little corner of the world here, my safe place. So lovely to see everyone. And for all you Virgos, get ready for your birthdays. They're coming up. Blessings.